Hello, and welcome to the Sportscast podcast with me, Liam and Jordan. This week we will be discussing the Rugby World Cup final, the Cricket One Day World Cup, quick look back at the Austin Grand Prix with Mexico happening this weekend, the Tyson Fury bout, and then a quick discussion around derbies and rivalries. Jordan, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, yourself?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. I'm reeling off the back of a very busy week of sport.
It's sort of going over the notes and everything and looking at sort of when we prep for this and then when I sort of keep on top of it through the day and through the week, and it's been a very busy week.
It has. We've had Champions League football, we've had Premier League football, and a full English football calendar. We've had boxing, we've had rugby, we've had Formula One. It's been a packed out week. Plenty to discuss.
It's been very nice.
Where do you want to start?
I think we start with the big one last night. I think for me that's the most logical. It's the Rugby World Cup's come to its finale, and
Yes.
it's been, we're waiting on another 4 years for the same South Africa team to go and do exactly what they're going to do again in 4 years' time, because that's how good they have been this year. So, the last 8 years, if you like, really, they've won it back to back. I did see, obviously, for those that live under a rock, they beat New Zealand in the final 12-11. They beat France in the quarters 28-27.
Yeah, by 1 point.
England by 1 point and New Zealand by 1 point. So the 3 knockout games was all by 1 point.
Yeah. And to be honest, it was a turn up for the books because the bookies' favourite was New Zealand.
Was they?
Yeah, the bookies' favourite was New Zealand coming into the game.
I think if you went back over previous episodes, I think I said it's the France South Africa. If those two come across each other, that's it. That's the game. For me, that was it from the start.
To be honest with you, I enjoyed watching France versus South Africa more than I did
last night.
I
think that was the game of the tournament, and it was always going to be.
Last night was super scrappy. I mean, the first ever red card in a World Cup final. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's harsh because the South African player had a change of direction. Now, there was a further yellow card for Khaleesi a little bit later on. It's very similar where a New Zealander's changed direction. I think he landed. He landed off a line out, I believe, or a catch from a kick, and he got tackled, and then Khaleesi's hit him. But if you look at, it was a line out, actually, defending line out for New Zealand, 5 yard out. But if you look at Khaleesi's body, he is hinged at the hip. Yes, he has hit him high, but he has tried to get low on the tackle, whereas Kane was very upright. But he probably wasn't expecting to make a tackle until the change of direction.
No.
It's...
maybe planning in his head to kind of tackle him from the side or tackle him from behind.
Yeah,
after taking 3 or 4 more steps, so he's got time to sort of get down
to
a waist level.
I think it is a red card by the game now, and I just think that in modern rugby, there's going to be a red card every other game. They're going to be a lot more frequent than they once were. They're going to be a lot more frequent than you see in other sports.
Yeah.
I think this is the new norm.
Do you think it changed the direction of the game, or do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think it actually brought. I think it brought the game closer. New Zealand fought for more, and I think we spoke during the game, and I said that New Zealand are gonna play better. It's harder to beat 14 men than it is 15 men.
Yeah.
So
England took bronze in the tournament.
Yeah,
Again, not a game that filled me with excitement. There was periods of excitement, but
yeah.
nothing kind of.
Everyone, I mean, everyone's saying that Wayne Barnes missed a couple of things yesterday for New Zealand, and everyone's saying that Argentina was hard done by. Argentina's first try was one of the most forward-passed tries that I've seen for a very long time. And you know me, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to defend anyone that's playing against England to the hills. But that was a very, very forward pass, and I think the referee made the game a lot closer than what it needed to be.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing for me is comparing to football, which I watch football an awful lot more than I watch rugby. I watch rugby once every 4 years when the World Cup's on, to be fair. But all the Six Nations. But the VAR and the game continuation and the kind of the way that it flows, and they allow the medics on the pitch while games on play and things like that. It's just so much better than football. Football's turned into a very stop-start, quite divisive with the VAR.
Yeah,
Rugby just seems like it's kind of got the continuation play
but
down.
we have had the TMO for 20, 25 years. You know, it's not 3 years in Lavia. The problem you're having now with TMO, and it is due to this head-on-head contact, it was yesterday in the game. They went back probably quite far over one of the tackles, and it was a bit. If it's not getting picked up straight away, you kind of leave it. And they went back quite, probably 3 minutes of the game, and I don't like that part. And you might have missed this. Let's have a look at this. They need to let the ref the game and not let the TMO pick up on every mistake.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So,
It should be down to the referee to ask the TMO to review rather than the TMO.
What you used to have, and they don't do it as much now. But say the game's going on, and was that a little high? Was that not? The referee would say on the mic, check that, and then let the game go. So, he'd prompt the TMO when he wants something checking as it goes. If he misses it, he misses it. That's part and parcel of the game. If it directly impacts the result of a try or something like that, okay. But don't go back, 2 plays, set pieces earlier and look at things, especially when they did that yesterday and then admitted they got it wrong.
Yeah. But overall, great tournament. Really enjoyed watching it, and South Africa are after all those games, all that effort, are genuine deserving champions.
100%,
world champions. So well done to South Africa.
Whilst there is another world event going on, there's the Men's Cricket World Cup.
Yes,
and England played again today.
I haven't seen it, but I am going to assume they got battered.
Yeah, they did. They lost to India by 100 runs. So they lost to Sri Lanka last week.
Yes.
They lost quite convincingly. They were 156 all out after 33 overs. I think Sri Lanka took 22 overs to get there, and then they lost to India by 100 runs today. So they are
puts them dead bottom. Puts them absolute dead bottom. But then again, they did play the Indians, so obviously who are number one, and they have won their last 5 games, even above South Africa, who won 4 out of 5, sit top of the table of 12 points.
England play Australia next week, so that's not going to get any better for them.
No.
We haven't touched on the results of the Texan Grand Prix.
We haven't, no, actually. The Texan Grand Prix, the Grand Prix from Austin, Texas, Circuit of the Americas was last week at like 11 p.m. or something, was it?
Yeah, I think 10. I think, it was late.
Yes, so we didn't touch on it on the podcast. Obviously, the result as they crossed the line, correct me if I'm wrong, was Max Verstappen won the race, obviously, with Hamilton second and Charles Leclerc in
third.
Norris
fourth.
Norris fourth, or was it Norris? I can't actually remember.
Yeah, Norris fourth. Yeah.
And then I went to bed. I watched the cars cross the line, and I went to bed, and I woke up the following morning, and I was doing some prep for the podcast just to kind of write down what was going to be happening, talk about this week, and it had all changed.
rightly or wrongly, do you think?
It's technical regulations. It is written down, and all the teams adhere to it. So, for those of you that haven't seen this or don't understand why they were disqualified, so Hamilton and Leclerc were both disqualified. There are skid plates underneath the car, and those skid plates have a certain amount of allowable wear. So it might be 50 mil, it might be 100 mil, I don't know. But this prevents the teams from running the cars too low. And when the FIA checked the cars, those two cars specifically over, they realised or they found out that the skid plates had worn down more than the technical regulations allowed, and therefore they were disqualified. What I can't get my head around is why wasn't George Russell and Sainz, assuming their cars were set up identically, park firmware regulations, why were they not disqualified either? That's what I can't get my head around.
Could have just been, the if you're taking corners at different speeds, you're hitting different bumps in the roads, and you just the wear's slightly different, and the cars won't be set up exactly the same. George might want his wing at this, this mill, and Lewis wants it at a different mill, and the downforce plays different, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but overall,
it is, yeah.
Overall, it was an outstanding weekend for my beloved McLaren, but obviously Verstappen maintained his win. Norris in second, a full 18 points for Norris, and then Piastri. He unfortunately retired with a lap one incident, but that means that McLaren have overtaken Aston Martin in the Constructors' Championship.
Oh. And obviously this weekend they are in Mexico, where Leclerc started on pole with Sainz and Max in third, with Danny Rick in a very nice looking fourth place.
Yeah, I noted Danny Rick. It's his only second race back, and he retired last week, if I remember rightly. But I can't remember why.
He was in there with Piastri and another car, and he got quite a lot of side panel damaging.
Yeah, so Ricardo, it was disappointing for Ricardo. Return for Ricardo after surgery on a broken wrist after a crash earlier in the season, or on the first return to the season, and it was his first race back into Formula One actually. But
no, he had a couple of races in, didn't he? And then he had a bit of a smash.
Yeah, so it was his first race. Sorry, no, it's his Austin was his first race back
from the injury. Yeah.
Yes, today is remind me where we are. Mexico.
Yeah.
We are in Mexico,
Wake up.
And they are bottom of the Constructors' Championship, Alpha Tauri. So if he can maintain a decent race pace in the race today and not get swallowed up by the likes of kind of Hamilton and the really, really super fast Williams on the 1.2 kilometer straight.
Yes, but Williams haven't started top 10 today. That's the only downfall.
No. But I think Albon's in a decent position. So Sargent won't do anything, but even so, it's a good opportunity for Danny Rick.
It is. And obviously, as it stands, the start of the race has taken place. And normal, there was a bit of a lap one incident. We'll talk about more next week, but normal practice has resumed. Just want to touch on something, though, as well.
Go on.
We are a couple of weeks away from the Las Vegas Grand Prix.
Yes, we are.
And I'm a bit... They've announced the lineup. Now, years gone by, we've seen it a little bit at Texas, where there's been a bit of a show beforehand. But they're having 9 artists, musicians, before the race, put on a bit of a show. J Balvin, Steve Aoki, there's a massive DJ out there. They got the appearance by the Blue Man Group, Circus du Soleil.
It's so I get what you're saying. You would never get this in Austria, for example. You would never get this at Spa, for example, because Spa and Austria and Silverstone. Well, Silverstone's even exclude Silverstone. You would never get that at like the core. We've raced here since the 1960s.
But Silverstone does have a massive festival.
Yeah,
on
so
the
that was
grounds,
my
but
point.
away from the track. This is all gimmicky around the track. I didn't know what your thoughts were around it.
So my thoughts are Las Vegas. You ask 95% of the population of the world what Las Vegas is, and people know. I think it's super hyped. I think it's done with a very, very specific target in mind. Liberty Media own Formula One. They're an American company. They want to capture more of an American audience. They want to make money, but at the same time, they want to expand the sport over there as well. Hence Andretti and Logan Sargent, and targeted advertising for America. They're doing it to achieve a specific purpose. And like I say, you've got three types of races, in my opinion. You've got the core. We've been doing this since the 60s and 50s, and we're going to be doing this probably until
Monaco,
Formula One.
Spa, Austria.
Yeah. You've got the kind of mid, kind of modern kind of thing. So you've got Silverstone, like really, really good party vibe weekend, but we're also here for the racing. We're not all just Drive to Survive fans. And then 1,000,000%, Las Vegas is Drive to Survive. I have more money than I know what to do with, and I don't mind spending $8K on a paddock ticket and $1,500 a night on a hotel room. But I think it's very gimmicky. We'll see what it's like. It's on the calendar for the next couple of years. Few years till 2026, and then see what happens.
Talking of gimmicky, there was a bit of boxing on again last night, but I used the term very loosely.
It was. I don't know what the correct word is. Like validated by the
sanctioned.
It was sanctioned fight, wasn't it?
Yes.
We're talking about. You say his name. I can say Tyson Fury. I don't know the other guy.
Ngannou.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. So I finished the rugby and I turned the boxing on, and it was supposed to start at 10, and I watched Fury getting his hands wrapped. So I thought there's no way fight is starting before 11.
The ring walk was at midnight.
Okay, so I did the right decision by going to bed.
Yeah, unfortunately, we have young children. We went to bed.
I've seen the highlights of the fight.
I've watched it back today. Yeah,
the fight was it went Fury's way by non-unanimous decision, 2-1, with the judges scoring one quite close and then the other two quite far apart.
Yeah,
which when I've watched the highlights, I can't see. I mean, Fury was knocked down in third.
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I've not seen anyone say that's probably the right decision. Everyone said it's clearly a con, and I think Fury was right. It's probably his toughest fight in 10 years. It's someone that took the fight to him. Not many people have done that. I'm a bit disappointed because I thought after this, they were going to announce they're looking at December 23rd. They were going to look at having Usyk Fury, Joshua Wilder on the same card, and then maybe Eubank Conor Benn on the undercard. But I think with such a difficult fight physically for Tyson Fury, I don't think that's going to look like it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
No, certainly not this side of Christmas.
I don't know what the purse was, but Fury doesn't have to do anything if he doesn't want to.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is where he's at. But I'm hoping we get a decent boxing event over the next 12 months where it does have a few of those big boys that are not skirting around each other, taking silly exhibition fights here or there. I mean, yes, it was a sanctioned fight, but it's an MMA fight. He's a 38-year-old MMA fighter. You know, we've got better fights to look forward to.
Yeah. I mean, last week, speaking of Formula One from Austin, last week, I'm not going to go into it, but like a load of celebrities have basically bought stakes in Alpine, and they were all on the grid last week. Yes. Martin Brundle was interviewing Anthony Joshua, who was saying, are the fans going to get what they want, which is a Fury Joshua fight? Who knows? Like, I'd like to see it, but I think Joshua has in recent years has tried to sidestep genuine fights, and he just wants to punch somebody in the head and earn a lot of easy money.
Yeah.
And I don't think I don't think Fury is an easy fight. I do think those two would be well matched, and I actually do think that Fury would take that because Joshua.
Prior to last night, I'd agree with you. It'd have been a very. I think it wouldn't have been evenly matched, but I think last night has time caught up on Fury.
Yeah,
because he doesn't look after himself as well as other people. As he gets a little bit older, it's catching up on him.
Have you never had fish and chips from Morecambe before? Is there anyone there? Fantastic fish and chips.
Can't say I have. Quickly, there's a couple of bits I want to touch on about football before we talk about football. Sandro Tonali for Newcastle this week got a 10-month ban for gambling on football.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I understand that gambling has its issues and things like that, and gambling on football is fun and it is addictive, etc., etc. But when you are earning that kind of money, you don't need to bet on the football you're playing on.
That's exactly what I was just about to say. Like,
they're not doing it for money. They're not doing it for money. They're doing it for a high. So bet on different things. And I don't know. It just throws me a little bit.
It's mental, and I hope he's not being paid through his suspension either, because obviously
they're exploring legal options to reduce his wage. But as fans, technically, they are liable for it, I guess.
It's absolutely insane. Like you say, he's being paid a fortune. Like, I mean, if he's playing with Newcastle Premier League, he's not skinned. He's not probably on top wages, but he's also not skinned. Like, why would you bet on football? Bet on curling. Bet on
horses.
Balls.
There's a lot more races. They're a lot more frequent. They're all the time. So the next one was Spurs. Top of the Premier League after 10 games. Clear of Arsenal by 2 points. Clear of City by 2 points. Are they genuine title contenders?
So this is what we discussed maybe 5 or 6 podcasts ago. They built a team around Harry Kane. Now Harry Kane is gone. Have they got more of a team mentality, and are they more of a football team rather than a football support to Harry Kane?
Yeah. And I don't know. It's just not everything seems to be going their way, because that's not fair to say. But they're doing very, very well, and they don't look like they're, next weekend, they don't seem to be having any. They play Chelsea a week tomorrow. Chelsea aren't exactly fighting fit. Who knows?
Yeah.
But this weekend saw quite a few derbies. The Manchester derby, you had Leeds Huddersfield, you had Sheffield Wednesday Rotherham.
Yeah.
You could argue Cardiff Bristol's probably quite, they're only over the bridge to each other.
Yeah.
Manchester derby went 3-0 City away at Old Trafford. Leeds beat Huddersfield 4-2. Sheffield Wednesday picked up their first points of the first win of the season, 2-0 at home to Rotherham. There's not been a lot else go on this weekend. Arsenal battered the 1-5-0, didn't they, against was it Sheffield United yesterday?
Yeah.
Villa beat Luton. Liverpool beat Forest. Everton a couple of wins in a row now. Again, beat West Ham today, so they're out the relegation zone. So,
speaking of derbies, City beat United 3-0, battered them.
Yeah, I think that's always a given, though, especially in this with how things are. Haaland scored twice, assist for Foden. It's pretty straightforward for them.
Yeah.
Man United are in a bit of turmoil at the minute. They don't seem to be coming out the other side of it. So I think they just wanted Radcliffe to buy the club, get a bit more understanding of what direction they're going in. But I just don't think they've got it.
To be honest, I've been watching a little bit of the Beckham documentary, and it just reminds you of the absolute efficiency, domination, prowess. Any describing word you can think of that means Man United were fucking brilliant during the Alex Ferguson era, and that's how you would describe it. They were unbelievable. They since he left, and we're talking years ago now, years and years. I don't even know.
I think we're on 10 years. I think we're on 10 years.
They've gone through managers and they've cycled through. This is going to be the next player of the Premier League, and never really done anything.
I think that's the problem. I think they need to understand where they're at. I think Ten Hag's the right man for that. I just don't think there's the right
mentality.
Culture breeds performances, and there's just nothing there. So, it made me think though. What do you think? So, Derby weekend. What do you think would be the biggest derbies / rivalries in sport?
So, I have written down 4, but I believe there is probably one that stands out. However, it's before both of our times, but the nature of it and the fact that we're still talking about it and the fact that we both know about it will probably justify the reason why I've written it down. So I'll start with the first, which I think you'll definitely agree, which is the Old Firm derby.
Yeah, that's huge.
Rangers versus Celtic. It's not just a football game. It's literally life or death for some of these fans, for some of these sort of hardcore ultra oldies. Rangers versus Celtic. I mean, Rangers went down to the lowest leagues of Scottish football after their financial difficulties, and they've come back, and the rivalry is just as fierce.
Yeah, it's. So I know a lot about this derby because of connections with Celtic and things, and when they've come back up, they've realised they haven't had to give them much tickets for away games.
Yeah.
So a week before the Celtic game, or a little bit of time before the Celtic game, Rangers went, when you come to Ibrox this year, we're not giving you more than 500 seats. And Celtic went, okay, no worries. So you're only getting 500 seats at Celtic Park, and they went, that's not fair. And they're like, well, it's perfectly fair. So the last couple of years, they've only had 500 tickets. Towards the end of last season, they've realised they don't have to give them any tickets. So the last 3 Old Firms have been competed with 0 away fans.
I did not know that.
Now, I've been up for big Celtic games. I've not been to Old Firm. I've been to some big Champions League nights, and it's completely shut down. The streets are just covered in green, and I know I've seen videos. I've seen a lot that goes on around the Old Firm. You hear of things, and I guess it's probably safer because then you're not putting set fans around the stadium of the other fans.
Yeah, but it's also not football. Do you remember during COVID and we were playing football matches behind closed doors? It's essentially the exact same thing. You've got one crowd cheering for one.
But the problem is the rivalry isn't football.
Okay.
It's religion.
Yeah.
So, and I think, what are the next ones you've got?
Just quickly touching on Rangers versus Celtic.
Okay.
238 wins to Rangers, 138 wins to Celtic, 100 behind, and 136 draws.
Celtic are the bigger club in the last 10 years.
100%.
That's only due to where Rangers have been, but they are now back at. I mean, Celtic are 7 points clear at the top of the SPL at the minute, but they are a lot closer than they've ever been.
Do you want to mention one, or do you want me to go through my list?
Well, that was top of mine. My next one was England-Wales rugby.
Okay,
simple as that.
You know probably a lot more than I do.
Just purely on the basis of I can handle Wales losing a rugby match, but never to England.
No, you can't.
We had 2 games in the summer tri-series, whatever we called it, summer series before the World Cup, And it just doesn't matter. There's never a friendly. It's never a friendly. It's England, Germany at football. It's not a friendly, no matter what. It's never a friendly. And that, for me, is one of the big ones.
Yeah.
In rugby. Any of yours?
So cricket, possibly the bitterest of rivalries in cricket is India versus Pakistan.
Yeah. Okay.
So curveball, actually, curveball.
Yeah, I thought you were going to go England, Australia.
No, India versus Pakistan. So geopolitics. I mean, we're probably going a little bit deep for a Sunday night podcast, but geopolitically, I mean, I know a little bit about geography and history, and I like that kind of thing. But geopolitically, like 1947, post-war, Britain carved up India and created Pakistan, created Bangladesh, created kind of all of that region as it stands today. And I mean, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, kind of Middle East, they're all mad on cricket. Literally, if you have a look now, the highest subscribed YouTube channels when I were growing up was all PewDiePie and Ray William Johnson and silly people doing silly things. Now, if you have a look now, it's Indian cricket channels, and in cricket over kind of Pakistan and India is life and death. It's unbelievable, and since years and years gone by, it's always been a fierce rivalry between the two teams.
Yeah, I'd go with that.
Kind of a curveball, kind of a spin.
Yeah, well, I have a couple of football ones here, and we haven't actually touched on it today. Is the El Clasico, Barcelona Real Madrid, which Real Madrid actually won yesterday, 2-1 with 2 goals from Jude Bellingham. Fantastic finishes.
Jude Bellingham, he had moved. I forgot about that. We've not spoken about that.
So
great move for him, by the way.
Yeah, he's playing fantastically. He scored 10 goals this season. His equals Zinedine Zidane's great, best tally. So yeah, it's.
I don't know how old he is. I know we're talking about rivals.
20.
20 years old. He will be England's next top bloke.
I think he'll win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, 100%. He's outstanding. But no, I mean, he's not been the same though. I mean, we were talking offline about Barca and Real Madrid kind of classic teams like 2015, 2013, all the way through to like 2017 classic teams. But it just doesn't, like the El Clasico for me at the moment doesn't hit the same as it did back then.
So let me get through these then, right? So we're talking about, so the other football ones I have is obviously the Manchester derby, Man United Leeds, Spurs Arsenal. Right, they're probably the big ones. You've got your Birmingham Villas and stuff like that. But I don't think any of them carry the weight anymore. And what I mean by that is Man United, Man City, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, they weren't in the same leagues.
No, they weren't.
So it's only a derby now because they're the neighbouring villages.
Yeah.
The neighbouring teams. But Man United Leeds years gone by was the big one. Man United Liverpool was the big one.
I agree.
But now, Leeds then dropped down the leagues and everything else. It's not. Spurs Arsenal, the players, and this is where I was going to go with this. The players that come in aren't, they're not British or English. They're not Manchester United, and the players that play for Leeds aren't Leeds. They're Spanish, they're European, so they haven't got that connection with the game.
Yeah,
with the match. So they're just not derbies anymore.
Yeah, agree.
What's your next one?
I think the one, in my opinion, is boxing.
Okay.
70s boxing, way before our time, but still resonate. Quite possibly the greatest boxing matches of all time. You watch these plastic YouTube boxers that do not do anything for you, and you watch like Fury last night, like kind of stumbling around the ring and maybe punching him in the head a couple of times. Like Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali's trio of fights in the mid-70s was without a doubt the best boxing I've ever seen. Not live, clearly.
I think for me, what makes it so great, and what you have genuine resentment in boxing now, and so will fight so and so, but then at the end they're like, oh, they've gained my respect, da 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 da. Whereas Ali and Frazier just go, no, I still hate him and I beat him.
Like, I still hate him. I want to fight him again.
Yeah, and you don't get that as much in modern day boxing now.
No.
You know, even Carl Froch, George Groves, when Froch did Groves, you know, the second time around, there's a lot of hatred due to what happened in the first fight. But again, at the end, oh yeah, no, I respect him as a fighter. No, but you want to knock his block off.
Yeah, exactly. So, and these two were hard bastards as well.
Yes.
41 rounds over 3 fights.
Back in the day when you could go 15, 18 rounds.
Yeah, so 15 rounds of boxing. Fight of the century, 1971. Frazier wins in a 15 round unanimous decision. So that breaks Muhammad Ali, who's renowned as one of the best boxers in the world at this point. 31 fights of
Unbeaten.
successive wins, unbeaten record broken by Joe Frazier, followed by those two. So the second fight was in 1974. But what amazes me still when I look at the records of like Anthony Joshua and the big boxers at the moment, these guys were having 4 fights a year, as well as these big bouts as well between the two of them. 1974, Ali wins 12-round unanimous decision. And then the big one, the thriller in Manila, going 1-1 into the 1975 fight. Yeah, the decider. Ali wins with a 14th round retirement, and Joe Frazier gave absolutely in fact, both fighters gave absolutely everything they could. And at this point, they hated each other. At this point, they wanted to kill each other in the ring. And to go another 14 rounds against your opponent, and your opponent is just as ruthless as you,
it's hard work.
Yeah, I've watched those fights, and those fights were outstanding. They were that was entertainment.
So the last one, and I'm gonna give you 4 names because of 2 rivalries from the sport that we probably top of our lists. You've got Prost Senna, or you've got the James Hunt Nicky Lauda rivalry.
How do you decide between them, though?
For me, there's one clear one, but that's only because of my favorite sportsman of all time.
Yeah,
is James Hunt. That was just absolute balls to the wall, 100 mile, not 100 mile an hour, but metaphorically 100 mile an hour all the time. And he raced like it was always going to be his last race. He won the world title and said, "I've achieved everything. See you later."
Yeah,
but that Nicky Lauda said it. When he retired, you can't retire. I need you for me to be the best that I can be. And I think the difference with Prost and Senna is they didn't need each other.
No. Well, to be fair, they were teammates for 2 years. I think 1989 or something like that. They were teammates. And they had a rivalry as a teammates. And then I think up till 93, 94, I can't remember off the top of my head, 93, they split as teammates. But yeah, I think Hunt, outstanding racing driver. And either of those two for me are outstanding contributions to this conversation.
Massively. I do just want to end on one bit of a down note this weekend. I've always enjoyed my ice hockey. I follow the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL. We're local to Sheffield Steelers. Last night, the game at the Sheffield Stadium with the Nottingham Panthers saw Adam Johnson have a bit of a collision, which saw his neck get sliced. And unfortunately, this morning, he lost that battle. Horrific. It's one of those. I'm surprised you don't see it more. but when it happens,
yeah.
you don't expect it to happen.
Yeah, I'm certainly glad you don't see it more. But I mean, it's huge in America. It's huge in Canada. You don't see this very often. It is a complete freak accident. I mean, he was only 29, 35th minute, 29-year-old playing for Nottingham Panthers in the UK.
Yeah,
Ice hockey is gaining a following. Like it was a packed out crowd last night.
8,000 people. Yeah,
Yeah, 8,000 fans, and it was a packed out crowd, and it's such a shame. I was really sad to hear it this morning. I've obviously I heard it last night, and kind of didn't really think much about it. Like it was.
yeah. I didn't think it'd be that. It sounds silly. That serious,
Yeah.
He's had a bad accident.
Well, last night it was just a serious medical incident. So I assumed something to do with crowd or somebody had. I don't know, to be honest, but it wasn't. It's not kind of what you want to. Not in any way, shape, or form. Obviously, what we want to hear. But the kind of solace is kind of he died doing what he loved. But I don't suppose that brings any solace to his family. But
no, well, hopefully, we don't see it again for a very long time in the sport.
Yeah,
fantastic. I will see you next week.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Sportscast podcast. As normal, we will be active on Instagram and Twitter, or X, at SportscastPodUK. You'll join us again next week, where we'll be looking back at the coming week's sport.